Welcome back to Money 911, where we break through the noise, rise above the fear, and anchor your finances in peace, purpose, and power. If you've ever dipped your toes or dove off headfirst into the world of crypto, today's episode is your lifeline. We're joined by Janna Scott, the visionary founder of DeFi Tax, a company that's rewriting the rules of crypto tax compliance with wisdom, truth, and soul. Janna didn't just study the system, she helped build it. And now she's helping us navigate the storm with grace. This episode isn't just about taxes, it's about sovereignty. It's about reclaiming your financial future before someone else writes your story. Whether you're a CEO, investor, or simply a crypto-curious person, this is your wake-up call and your invitation to rise. All right, Janna, it's so nice to have you with us today on Money 911.
It's so nice to be here.
All right. And this is such a hot topic. I mean, everybody wants to know about all of these, staying safe in a web world, right? And audit proofing is like a mindset, not a method. But in the world of crypto, I mean, that to me is a foreign language. Like if you know me, I'm in safe money. I've never lost a dime in the stock market. In fact, I'm not even in there. So I'm on the safe, right? I'm on the safe money.
Right.
And so, you often say audit proofing is a mindset. What do you mean by that?
Well, so when it comes to taxes in general or crypto, capital gains, anything. So when you are a W-2 employee, you get your W-2. There's not much you can do to, change the numbers that came on your W-2. When you get your 1099 from, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, from any of your brokers, you can't really do anything and change the numbers there, right? So what you get is what you have to report. And then there is, there are a lot of tips and tricks. If you watch Instagram, I tell all my clients, if you keep sending me Instagram CPAs, go work with them, because half of the time what they're telling you is actually quite illegal. There's indictments out there. Don't touch it, right? There's a right way to do things, but there's no quick money fix, as you probably know.
Right.
Now, in the crypto world, it gets a little bit more complicated. In the crypto world, because even the IRS didn't really know what they were doing. When I met with them in 23 with all of my research regarding all the products on the market that promise IRS compliant and accurate reporting, and they actually stopped their audits because I could prove to them that what they were doing internally within the IRS was wrong. And so at this point, my research has been peer reviewed, has been published by universities. I didn't just say I'm right and now believe me. I gave it to people, in the professional space and said, look at what I found and validate it. And they did. And they have validated it, and they've validated internally within the IRS as well. So when I say audit proof is my product lacks features that allow manipulation of numbers. So if you're in business and you use QuickBooks, for example, for bookkeeping, if you ever get audited, QuickBooks is not allowed to be utilized in an audit, because in QuickBooks, you can make entries however much you want. You can manipulate every number. You can manipulate the bank statements that you import, everything. What you can't manipulate is the bank statements themselves. Now, crypto is the same thing. One thing you cannot manipulate is what's on the blockchain. I always say what happens on the blockchain stays on the blockchain, right? And so the data we pull, we do not allow you to upload CSV files, because again, you can download them and manipulate them, upload them, and tell us that it's the correct data. We pull everything directly from the blockchain, whether it is the public or a private blockchain. And the data doesn't get manipulated. You have no opportunity to change the data. Imagine, and this is where we differ significantly. Imagine going to your bank and you say, hey, I wrote this $10,000 check. I don't want this to be a $10,000 check. Can you remove some zeros? What's the bank going to say? Hell no.
Right.
Well, our competitors, because I offered every single product on the market, my research for free, and said, here, I found issues with your product. I want to give you the research. They didn't want it. The compliance officers read my messages and decided to ignore it back in 23. So fine, you do you. So that's when I said, I'm just going to build my own. Because the SEC and IRS has also been aware of these issues within the products and have not warned any taxpayer. Now, these products all allow you to manipulate your data. So they actually import it from the blockchain as well, but they allow you to say, oh, this $10,000 gain, let's change that to a $10 gain. Or they say, oh, this was a $10,000 gain in Bitcoin, let's change it to Ethereum. How can you change a currency? Go to your bank and say, hey, this $10,000 check is now 10,000 yen, right?
Right.
So that's where the audit proof comes in. I've worked in the tax field. I've worked for the government. I know what they will look at. I've done enough audits and handled enough audits that I know what they will look at. And I've built it with that mindset that what will the IRS ask for and what will they allow for me to hand over to them in an audit? Now, they know that all of these products out there in the market are faulty, that you can give them the same set of data, yet every single one comes up with a different outcome. As like 2 + 2 is not 4, 2 + 2 is 5 in one product, and 1 + 1 is 6 in the other. So things don't match up. Wow. And so those products will be useless in an audit. However, I can literally sit in front of the IRS. You can give me a data set of 20,000 transactions, and I can manually calculate it and tell them why they're wrong and I'm right. Because that's how I started. I started by doing this manually, by figuring out all the algorithms and the issues and pulling the raw data, not just by developers saying, oh, this is easy, we can run an algorithm. No, you can't. There's a lot more nuances in play that you need to take into consideration when building a platform such as this.
Wow. That's part of why I never really jumped into it, because partially it's so etherical and there's so much corruption and, oh, whoops, we just lost your thing. Now, I don't know, maybe it was 7-8 years ago, I got one of those mining things,
Yeah.
Right. The Bitcoin mining.
Which is income, just FYI.
What's that?
Mining crypto is income.
Well, it would have been great, but all of a sudden, whatever I put in there just disappeared and never could find that little mine again. And maybe it's still there, but I just not that, digital. So anyway, it's a time when trust is low and confusion is high. And, how are people going to be able to build a healthy, confident relationship with their digital money, and the possibility at some time, regimes change it, right? You could have just one that just goes, nope, no more Bitcoin. It's all going to be government CBDC. So how are we going to feel like trust in this digital world, right? Digital money.
I mean, quite frankly, the SEC and CFTC are still kind of fighting over who has oversight, right. But one thing I have to say, crypto doesn't just disappear. The blockchain is built for accountability. Money can be traced. That's what people don't understand. Whether you have a cold wallet or you're on an exchange or you're on something like MetaMask, it doesn't matter. Chainalysis has proven it over and over again. They have traced crypto they have seized crypto, billions of dollars for the government. It doesn't just disappear. And that same goes for you. And one thing that we have to remember is, with all the tax cuts, this is something the IRS can go after and will go after, because back in 21, and this is, everything I say is easily verifiable. I mean, we talked about it, ChatGPT, go put it in there. The IRS got permission in 21 to send out what's called John Doe letters, and they've been doing that consistently. They send out up to like 1,000 John Doe letters. What that means is, to any product that uses KYC, know your customer, such as the exchanges, such as MoonPay, or any payment system that cashes out or puts money in on the decentralized wallets, not just the centralized exchanges, but decentralized, where people think they can do it anonymously. And some people can. Listen, there's ways to do it very anonymously, but the majority of us have not done it that way. Now, the IRS sent out John Doe letters and received responses. They were told what American citizen has held crypto, and they have the name and the list. Now, if you didn't report any crypto gains or losses, they know you failed to report it. And that's how their first audit rounds are going to start. They're going to go by the people they know have a high AGI, probably put a lot of money in, didn't report it at all. Now, once in 21, when that little box appeared on your return that said, did you buy or sell crypto? If you don't answer it and it says no, and you had crypto, now you're also evading, and willfully not reporting income. So you're in another, you're in a whole nother shit show.
Right.
So, it just keeps coming. But with all the tax cuts that we're having, people are going to pay less taxes. The IRS needs to get the money from somewhere because, quite frankly, the country needs to live off of taxes, right? We have our military, we have our roads, we have we have whatever we need. And Congress wants their money as well. So the money is going to have to come from somewhere. Now, based on calculations, the IRS has probably, since crypto came to be, has probably missed out on $146 billion in capital gains tax and ordinary income tax. That's a lot of money if you consider what they, the amount that they're collecting every year, and you look at $146 billion. That is without the penalties and the interest and any additional things that are going to be added on top of it. So they're going to look at collecting this.
Right.
Now, is it wrong for them to go after it? Well, technically not, because it was capital gains, it was income, you should have reported it. However, now we're coming to the issue. There's a lot of people who try to report it, who did their best, who use the products out there. However, now you use these products are not going to be helpful for you, because if you use, and I'm not giving out any names, I'm not looking to a lawsuit, if you use one of the top 2 products on the market that are endorsed by the top exchange in the US, everybody can read between the lines, they're wrong. They're plain wrong. If you go and take a data set from the top exchange, look at your top exchange, because they themselves have their tax calculations, look at it. Now go take that same set of data, run it through product 1 and product 2, endorsed by both of those, by that exchange. You will get a different outcome. And I mean, not a little bit. I had a set of data that I ran through. Exchange told me I had $99 of capital gains because it's my test wallet, right? That year. Product 1 that they just endorsed told me I have a gain of $2,900. The other product told me I have a loss of $355. And that is only on about 65 transactions.
Nice.
That is nothing in the crypto world. Now tell me that if this exchange is endorsing 2 products, is a shareholder in those 2 products, can't even do the due diligence to ensure that those products match their own calculations or match one another. Now, well, it gets even better. So let's say the IRS says, yes, listen, you tried your best, you reported, you used one of the products, we know they're faulty. You're not going to get penalties, but you have to pay the tax with whatever we come up with. Great. However, now their problem is this. What is it the IRS is wrong? They were wrong in 23 and 24. That's one of the issues. Well, see, I can go to bat with them. They already know me. They already don't like me, which is fine. But I can recalculate, and I can tell them if they're right or wrong. And I can fight for it. And I'm looking forward to it. But then now we're coming to the second issue. In late 23, because I've pulled reports for data from these products consistently, in late 23, they made a change to the algorithms, all of the products, probably shortly after we sent them all emails saying, hey, you're doing it wrong. They made changes. They didn't tell the users they made changes. So now let's say you used any of these products for 22, 21, 2020, and so on. Go back in and pull the report again. There's now going to be a 30 to 35% variance. Now, if the IRS comes and says, look, if you show us you reported what they said, great, we will relieve the penalties for you. Well, you pull the report now, you give it to them, and the IRS is going to say, well, this doesn't match what you reported. So you made numbers up. So that's where we come, where the issues come in, the accountability. Everybody looks at the dollar, like how much money can we make instead of fixing it. Now,
wow. Go ahead.
Well, there's a funny thing. Now everybody will know what I'm talking about anyways, but I'm not using names again. In April, we finally decided, listen, we're going to send out letters from our attorneys to all the places and just let them know, like, look, these are the issues. We will work with you and fix it. We sent one out to the top exchange in the US. Instead of responding within 36 hours for the first time in years, they changed their terms of services to exclude class action lawsuits.
Jeez. Unbelievable.
So,
wow. Crazy.
I mean, listen, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody in this world, right? Nobody knows me. I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm no Elon Musk. I'm no, David Sachs.
Right.
But my research did stop the crypto audits. I have the universities to back that statement up, who worked with the IRS at that time. I've met with the IRS. I've met with the SEC. I got a large exchange to change their terms of services after our letter came out. And they can say, oh, no, we were planning on doing that anyways. Well, it was within 36 hours of the letter, which is a little bit fishy. And it was happened in the middle of the night, which was a little bit weird too. So, considering they're US based. Yeah. So I wish people would listen, I wish people would listen to, because we've met with large news outlets, and their response was, oh no, this is amazing. We want to publish this, but we're going to wait until people actually get hurt.
Unbelievable. But it is believable because that's how they are. And you really, yeah. I have not heard any of this before. I mean, this is just like this hidden conversation.
No, it is. It is. And the sad thing is, the IRS and SEC knew that these products are faulty, yet they didn't say anything about this. They didn't put anything out. So hey, fix it. The SEC's response when we met with their division chiefs was, well, we're not overseeing crypto, so we can't really do anything about it. Well, the IRS could have, right?
Yeah.
It's tax reporting. But, ultimately, all I want to do, and maybe this sounds, it's me being in la la land, is I want to protect the taxpayers, because I see with my clients all the time, they get a letter from the IRS and all it says is you're getting a refund. A panic message saying, I got a letter from the IRS. What do I do? I'm like, it's a refund. You're fine. Now imagine like millions of audit letters going out. Remember during COVID when the employee retention credits were going on, and employer retention credits, all these companies came out of the woodworks and filed these 941s and got people money back because the IRS paid out. And now the IRS is coming back and taking the money back and saying, actually, those reports were wrong. Imagine millions and millions of audits going out, because we did not just audit the products on the market. We audited 53. We went to 53 of so-called crypto tax experts, law firms, accounting firms, gave them our set of data, paid them way too much money to give us back inaccurate data, but we tested it. We wanted to see if anybody had figured it out at that point. None of them did.
Yeah.
And so now imagine all these firms coming out of the woodwork saying, we can protect you in an audit, we can help you with the crypto audit. All they're going to do is going to the faulty products and charging people that will ultimately owe. They will ultimately owe, charging them thousands upon thousands of dollars to do something that they can't fix. They can't do anything about it. They can do offer and compromise. They can try to negotiate, but ultimately, our middle class, the people that maybe made $10,000, $15,000 in crypto, in 19, our middle class, they're going to now sit on, $10,000, $15,000 of taxes owed. A lot of these people rely on their refunds every year. They need them to live, especially in this economy. And then, they're the bigger fish in the sea, who've made millions, who haven't paid taxes. Look, they probably have the money to pay the taxes, but it's just so frustrating, because all I wanted to do from the get-go, I have the emails to prove it to. I emailed all of these places. I said, hey, their CEOs, their tax, their legal team. I said, I found issues within your product. I want to give it to you for free. I didn't want to make money off of it. I just wanted them to fix it. And when everybody said no, I went a little, I turned into a petulant, stubborn little child and said, fine, I'll build it myself, you know?
Right, right. But you are a hidden treasure because really this is, all this information that helps people can never get mainstream. It's just blocked, right? For the powers that be that control the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's just so many people. I can feel your heart in it, of wanting to help. Not
They'll be
isn't just
hurt. It'll be damning. And then the people that will take advantage of the people being desperate, that will be the biggest issue, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
people will come out. How many people use TurboTax? You know what I mean?
yeah,
And they don't have a tax professional in their corner to help.
right, right,
They have to go then to the firms that call and, cold calling or email and say, hey, I can help you. No, you can't. No,
right.
you can't.
Well, what's the most costly crypto mistake that you've seen smart people make that maybe could have been avoided?
Well, a lot of people, it's twofold, right? So a lot of people think that if they have their crypto in a cold wallet, they can't trace it, the IRS, right? It's hidden. It's not. It's not. If you're well off enough, they will find a way to look for it, right?
Right.
But the biggest thing I think is transfers between exchanges or between wallets. These products don't necessarily catch that those transfers are not that they're non-taxable events if you transfer something. So I was very worried. So we had a press release come out right before President Trump made the rule that 1099s don't have to be sent out by the exchanges, because that was one of my biggest worries. For example, if you send 10,000, if you bought crypto for $2,000 on Coinbase, okay, and it grew to 10,000, you say, yay, but I want to trade something on Robinhood. And you go ahead and send that $10,000 to your own personal Robinhood account. Coinbase does not know that. And Coinbase will say, okay, you basically hashed out. So now I'm going to send, now you had $8,000 worth of capital gain, because you technically did, but you only send it, imagine you send it from one checking to another, right? It's not income, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know that your Robinhood that was your Robinhood account. So now Robinhood gets the $10,000, and under IRS rules, if you receive crypto, it is income. So now Robinhood will say, oh, look, you received $10,000 worth of income. None of it was taxable, but now you have an $8,000 capital gains event and a $10,000 income event, right? So that's one of the issues that we're running into, is how to properly allocate it. But then because of the product features out there, and they don't have a handle, a good grasp on how to make it audit efficient, they're allowing you as the user to make decisions on your own, which now can lead also to, if one of us wants to hide crypto on these reports, we can just pretend to make it a self-transfer. You can pretend that it wasn't actually a capital gains event. So there's two ways to it, right? There's the honest people, there's the people who think, want to get away with it. And we can all get away with it for a while. But one thing people have to realize is when it comes to crypto, there's no 3 or 7 year cutoff. If the IRS thinks it's tax evasion, there's an indefinite audit timeline. They can audit you indefinitely. There's no cutoff.
Right.
So, especially, like I said, they're looking at $147.6 billion in capital gains tax and ordinary income tax that they did not get, so.
Right, right. Well, it's like the Wild West of, Web3, as they say, right? How do we lead with wisdom instead of hype and fear when there's just so much greed that dominates the airwaves?
Yeah, trust me, I've thought about it, because all the products on the market, they're multi-billion-dollar products.
Yeah.
They're billion-dollar products, yet they can't sit down and fix it. They haven't fixed it yet. The problem, and I know why, because imagine them going in now and changing their entire algorithms and really fixing it.
Right.
People would realize that the last few years that they've paid their subscription fee to them, they got the wrong answers. They got the wrong numbers. They got wrong. I mean, the terms of services kind of preclude and say, look, we're not responsible for what the reports say, yada, yada, yada. But faith is being lost, So of course they're not going to go back and make a major overhaul when now all of a sudden everything looks different. That, not just, I mean, I noticed because I consistently pull reports, but people who don't consistently pull reports and go look back, they might not never notice that there was a change back in 23, but if there's now a significant change, they have to say something because they made billions of dollars already every year on their subscribers.
Right. Right. Well,
it's all about money.
You talk a lot about real-time tax clarity and someone that's feeling overwhelmed by past transactions or moving things around. Is it too late? Can they turn things around?
Yeah, so we go back to your first ever transaction. We don't start in this year. That doesn't work, right? We go back to the first ever transaction that you had, and we produce accurate reports. And we also have an actual, so we handle audits internally within our company. If you get audited for crypto, or if you get audited in general, and then the IRS goes and says, well, we want to look at your crypto too, you're a tax professional, can contact us and we can handle the crypto audit side of things. So they don't have to. We will handle it internally, whether it is 18, 17, 15, or 2023, it doesn't matter.
That's great. So you've seen behind the curtain of the IRS and the SEC. What do you know now that most people will never get to learn?
I mean, they don't care. And I think everybody knows that. They don't care about us. They don't care about the little people. They care about, what they can bring in.
Right.
Otherwise, if they cared, they would have let people know when they had the proof, when it was validated, when the published articles came out to them, the published research articles showing that I was right about all the products, that they would have said something. They would have had a publication. They would have had a warning out to the people saying, look,
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
They they didn't say anything like, hey, the audits are going to pick up again. And if you try to report, we will ensure that you don't have the penalties and interest because you tried your best,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It just shows more and more that really it's not about us. It's just about, and the funny thing is the people in the IRS that do all this, they pay taxes too. Well, I guess there was an article that came out saying that there's a lot of IRS employees that owe taxes. But that's a whole different story. But ultimately, they do pay taxes too. They're W-2 employees. They pay taxes. It has to be paid. Why? I don't even know how to put this. It's just, we're all in the same boat. Why are we fighting one another?
It's
again, La La Land. That's me being in La La Land and saying, let's all, sing Kumbaya and
Well, there's so much shame and avoidance, especially when it comes to taxes, like it's some god or something, and everybody's all fearful of how do you get, and that's what I've experienced in the healthy money thing. Money is just energy, but there's so much goopy stuff on it that it's not what it's supposed to be. It was just more of a bartering thing. Now it's like control systems and why they want to move things, get rid of paper money and go into the control of all the little ants that they can make slaves, right?
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not opposed to paying taxes, right? People need to realize that. It's like we have to pay taxes.
Right.
There's a reason we have to pay taxes. Yes, did we have the Boston Tea Party and everything for, like Independence Day and things like that but we do have to pay taxes, right? We have the programs that are in place for a reason, right? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. There's reasons for it. We have the taxes to pay for our military, our research, NASA. I mean, there's things we need to do, but but there's a limit to it, right?
Right.
Should we, why are we being penalized for working hard and making good money? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not paying. I don't make a lot of money. I don't have to pay a lot of taxes. I've paid taxes. I don't like it, but I do. But, there's people who are penalized. I work with a lot of physicians who went through like 14 years of school, barely any money, have student loans that are higher, than my mortgage. And then when they finally get their good W-2 job, they're taxed and they still have to pay their student loans back, which is more than they can afford. Then they live for another 10, 15 years off of nothing because they're broke, and
I know.
They make good money, but they're not getting anything. They're not getting to keep anything.
Totally true. Totally. I mean, well, I've done this 35 years. I've helped over 6,000 people, and everybody I found, I don't know what the stats are, but most people end up losing everything before they cross over, either in a nursing home, probate, not having, the right paperwork, trusts, and the stock market. And the system is set up to just wipe people out. That's unfortunately.
Well, the banks, the banks are winning, the exchanges are winning.
Right. Right. So what does financial sovereignty mean to you in the new digital era? And how can the listeners begin to reclaim what theirs is?
I mean, I think we had a little win with the was it the One Big Beautiful bill when it came to kind of limiting, the centralized banking for crypto when the 1099s from the exchanges were limited because crypto is ultimately a good idea. It reaches areas of the world that otherwise we can't reach, right? It helps people in areas that really need it. I mean, I work with people in the Philippines. I work with people in Nigeria. I work with people in countries, Ghana, Nairobi, where hard money doesn't do them much good, but they have embraced a lot of the crypto because that is something that they don't have access to banking, but they have access to the crypto. So they can actually utilize crypto, but they can't utilize banking, especially in Nigeria, because when we hear Nigeria, we hear scammers, right? When we hear Nigeria, we hear, the Nigerian prince is coming, right? Here's your check. But there's a lot of people, like in every other country, like when you're in a different country and you hear America, they all think we're, truck driving, gun toting rednecks, right?
Right.
So which we're not, and so there's people that truly need help, that want help, that cannot get banking because of the government restriction, because of whatever it is. And crypto has helped those people. So crypto is not a bad thing, but with the regulations, because the government wants a piece of the pie, because we're not supposed to have freedom. I think we're going more to being able to be financially free in the crypto world, right? The banks are not going to be any happier. The banks are still not happy about depositing crypto. But you can nowadays, you don't have to get crypto and then cash it. You can pay a lot of people with crypto. You can purchase things with crypto. It's going to make it a lot easier for people to live. Of course, it's also going to make it easier for people to scam you or to hack your wallet. You still have to take, precautions like with everything,
Right.
It's just, that's just the world we live in. Unfortunately, the tech world, you get a virus, don't click on an email you shouldn't click on, don't click the link, that your USPS package is late or you owe, don't do it,
Right. Well, what's your hope for the future of money, and how does your company, what is it? DeFi, right?
DeFi tax, yes.
DeFi tax. How does DeFi tax help us get there?
Well, look, I'm all about the accuracy, right? I'm all about accuracy and reporting what is right. But we also have built in strategies that help you, lower your gains by what if analysis, etc. We want to make sure that it's twofold, right? Moving forward, I want my users, people I work with, to be able to report accurately, not even get into a position of an audit. Right. I want to be able to have my product, and the IRS, again, like I said, they know who I am already. I've spoken to the chief counsel a lot of times about different things, but I want them to see that when somebody comes with a product, with a report of mine, that they know, okay, well, this we don't have to argue about, right? Because I don't want them to even get into position of, hey, you're being audited because of crypto. Oh no, wait, we know that this is accurate.
Right.
But going backwards, for previous years, I want to be able to defend the people and not have them be punished for trying to do what is right,
Right.
Yet they couldn't, because if the IRS had to stop their audit because they could not internally get the calculations right, how can we expect a normal person out there to calculate their own crypto accurately?
Exactly.
We can't.
Right.
And so we shouldn't be penalized for something that was unknown, that they couldn't even do right.
Right.
And keep money in their pocket and ensure that they're not being, you know how it goes. You have even if this, this middle class, like, somebody who works maybe in an office, is a paralegal, whatever they are, and now they owe $15,000 in taxes. What's if they don't have it? Do we want them to take out a loan so they don't have to pay the 8% interest on the IRS and pay for 6 years on this, get consistently their refund, taken away? What do we want to do? Right. So we want to build the freedom, and we want to be able to negotiate something that helps the IRS, because again, we need taxes, but that also does not harm the taxpayers, while they're filling up the coffers for whatever it is.
Fabulous. So tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Well, on our website, we have defitax.us. We're also a DeFi Tax on, I believe we're on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, I have people for that. I am not very savvy when it comes to social media or anything. You can reach us. We have emails listed on the website and on our social media accounts. You can find us there. You can reach out if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. I'm happy to take on cases and see what's going on. If you're already in an audit, I would love to. So let us know.
That's great. Well, this has been an eye-opener for me. I had no idea about any of this zone, and it's so important. I feel like we barely even tapped a little bit of it, so we'll have to come back again and do more of a deep dive as I understand more about it.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
There is a lot more. I mean, I'm sure. And it's so important because that's the trend. So again, I really, really appreciate you and where you're come from and wanting to help people. That is the right place. And that's the money right there. That's the real money. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again.
Thank you so much, Kris.
Janna, thank you so much for bringing the light of clarity into what can feel like a dark and confusing world. You reminded us that financial empowerment is not just possible, it's necessary. To all of our listeners, the future of money is already here. Don't wait to get left behind or caught off guard. Whether you hold a little crypto or a lot, this is your moment to step into alignment, protection, and peace. Visit defitaxes.us and take your first step. And always remember, a legacy isn't built in the storm. It's built by preparing for it. Stay grounded, stay wise, and stay ready, because your financial freedom is not just a dream, it's your divine right. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.